Do not forget to subscribe, guys, for the latest in boxing. I feel bad, y'all. Because I'm about to trash Bermain Stavern. Shout out to all the Haitian boxing fans out there. I know there's a lot of Haitian boxing fans out there, but you know, I'm gonna trash them. I'm gonna have to trash Bermain Stavern because, you know, before Deontay Wilder fought Luis King Kong Ortiz, before he stepped in the ring with King Kong Ortiz, everybody was always giving him major props for beating Bermain Stavern. Bermain Stavern was Deontay Wilder's Vladimir Klitschko in a sense, because prior to him facing Luis Ortiz, I remember, you know, big Deontay Wilder fan channels, whenever they would talk about Wilder's resume, they would always, you know, bring up Bermain Stavern. You know, he fought Bermain Stavern though. He fought Beware though. He fought Bermain Stavern, you know, as if beating Bermain Stavern was some sort of astronomical, you know, feat. As if Bermain Stavern was the pound for pound #1 heavyweight or some shit. But you know, if you actually look at I first saw Bermain Stavern 7 years ago when he fought a guy named Ray Austin. And when I saw that fight, it was on the undercard. I think it was a Sergio Martinez undercard. It was like one of those undercards where I think it was a middleweight fighting. It was one of those type of undercards. And I remember Bermain Stavern fought on the undercard. And it was the first time I saw him. And he fought Ray Austin. Now, Ray Austin is a guy that got destroyed in about 6 minutes, a little under 2 rounds, when he fought Vladimir Klitschko when he was in his prime. So a prime Ray Austin got destroyed in 2 rounds against Vladimir Klitschko. By the time he fought Bermain Stavern, he was past his prime. And I've never rated Ray Austin. I've always thought that Ray Austin was a bum type of fighter. I've never been impressed by Ray Austin. I looked at him as a bum. I looked at him like a Tony Thompson type of fighter, just some bum low level type of fighter. And he was outboxing and giving Bermain Stavern hell. Before Bermain Stavern caught Ray Austin and knocked him out, he was actually behind in that fight. So he was getting outboxed by bum ass Ray Austin. So I remember looking at that fight the first time watching Bermain Stavern. I wasn't impressed. Like, I was like, man, he looks like shit against Ray Austin, because at the time, you know, the way they were talking him up, they were talking, he was supposed to like destroy Ray Austin, because when that fight was happening, I remember the commentators were acting like, all right, Bermain Stavern should just destroy Ray Austin because Ray Austin is over the hill and he's not that good. So Bermain Stavern at the time was, you know, in his prime, and people were looking at Bermain Stavern like he should just destroy Ray Austin, but he ends up struggling with bum ass Ray Austin. You know, and if you look at his resume, he's never fought anyone impressive. Who has he fought? This guy became a champion beating Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola didn't even deserve to be fighting for no vacant title, and the only reason he became a champion was because he fought for the vacant title when Vitaly Klitschko retired. So he beat Chris Arreola. Mind you, he had already fought Chris Arreola. A year earlier, he had fought Chris Arreola and he had beaten Chris Arreola. And then he fought Chris Arreola for the vacant title. A man he had already beaten. Chris Arreola was never going to be a world champion. You know, he got destroyed against Vitaly Klitschko. He even lost to Thomas Adamek, a guy that turned pro at 175 at light heavyweight. Chris Arreola was never a guy that became champion. He was never capable of becoming champion. He was a guy that he was there just to be there, but he was never championship material. So I've never really looked at beating Chris Arreola as a big victory. That's the best victory in Bermain Stavern's entire resume. Beating Chris Arreola. That's it. When he beat Chris Arreola, that's his best victory. Again, who is Chris Arreola? A guy that always comes up short. Chris Arreola is like a Malik Scott, a Derek Chisora. He's like that type of level heavyweight. A guy who always comes up short, and he can never be championship. He can never become a champion. He just doesn't have what it takes to become a champion. That's why he always comes up short. And then he fights Wilder, and Wilder outboxes him, and people act like that's the greatest defeat. Like, it's just comical to me. Like, I still remember, back before he fought Luis Ortiz, every time someone would talk about Wilder's resume, they would always bring up Bermane Stiverne and talk highly about that. Like, he beat Stiverne, though, as if Stiverne was a legit top 10 heavyweight. I don't think Stiverne was ever a legit top 10 heavyweight. Stiverne might be a legit top 35 heavyweight, top 40, because he was struggling against guys like Ray Austin, who's like a top 50 heavyweight, and he never beat, like, Bermane Stiverne never beat a top 10 heavyweight. The best guy he beat was Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola was no top 10 heavyweight. Chris Arreola was maybe top 50. So, like I said, it's all about resumes. How am I supposed to know if he was a top 10 heavyweight when he never even beat a top 10 heavyweight? He struggled against top 50 heavyweights like Ray Austin. The best guy he beat was a top 50 heavyweight, which was Chris Arreola. So that's why I don't understand why people look at Bermane Stiverne as a massive, amazing victory for Deontay Wilder, when the only thing I could see is the fact that he was a champion. But again, he won it against a low-level heavyweight like Chris Arreola. He didn't take it from the champion. He didn't beat Vitaly Klitschko. And I know it wasn't his fault that Vitaly Klitschko retired, but again, it wasn't like he was fighting a amazing top quality heavyweight to win that vacant title. It was against, he won the vacant title against a guy here he had already beat, a top 50 heavyweight. So to this day, I don't understand why people look at Bermane Stiverne as this great heavyweight. Extremely overrated heavyweight. Extremely overrated. I actually think that Gerard Washington has a better resume than Bermane Stiverne, because Gerard Washington beat Gerard Washington beat Eddie Chambers. Eddie Chambers is better than Bermane Stiverne. Technically, Eddie Chambers is also a better fighter than Chris Arreola. So I actually rate Gerard Washington as a better fighter in Deontay Wilder's resume than Bermane Stiverne. Most people might look at Deontay Wilder's resume and say Luis Ortiz and Bermane Stiverne are his best two wins, but I actually think that Luis Ortiz and Gerard Washington is Deontay Wilder's best wins, because I think both Luis Ortiz and Washington are actually better talent-wise than someone like Bermane Stiverne. Bermane Stiverne was always very slow, flat-footed, didn't know how to cut the ring off to save his life. That's why he lost to Wilder, because he was so slow on his foot speed and he didn't know how to cut the ring off. He was just following Wilder, and that's why he struggled against even Ray Austin. Ray Austin was using his height and reach against Bermane Stiverne, and he was moving around, and this was a shot from Ray Austin, yet Bermane Stiverne was still having issues with that movement. So even back then, he was having issues with shot fighters like Ray Austin, and that was him when he was a much younger fighter than when he fought, because he fought Ray Austin in 2011 when he was much younger. By the time he fought Wilder, he was like 36 already at that point. So again, I always look at Bermane Stiverne as one of the most overrated, not just in Deontay Wilder's resume, in general, in the heavyweight division. I don't look at him as no top 10. People have the nerve to say he's a top 10 heavyweight. He's no top 10 heavyweight. He's at least top 35, man.